Hi everyone, today on Doodle Draw Art we're going to draw Carla from Rio 2. We're going to start off by showing where we'd like her face to be, which is going to be in this part of our paper, and then we're going to draw her body, and in this case it's going to overlap quite nicely over her face where it was drawn, and now we're going to show where her wings are going to go out in a big sideways direction. She's flying happily out. And then from the bottom of her body here, we'll show her tail feathers and her feet coming down like this. Alright, so this is just a sketch to show us where she's going to fill the page to make sure that we have enough room. And now we're going to get started drawing her actual face. So we're going to start in here, and I'm going to draw her beak first. So her beak fills up a good part of her face, and it's like a U. It goes up and down with just some little curled up corners. And then we'll show the front of her beak connecting together, and then it's going to be open, so we'll draw another U underneath, a little bit narrower than the top U that comes up, and we'll draw the bottom of her parrot beak, which is just going to be a little wavy line coming up like that. Alright, now we're going to draw her eyes, and we're going to draw the first eye just peeking out from the edge of her beak. So we're going to see the black part of her eye, like this, and then the green color of her eye, like this, and then her eyeball itself, and it's going to just show a little bit at the top, and then a little bit more at the bottom, and then come in underneath here. So that will be the edge of her eye, and of course she's got some cute eyelashes, just 2 or 3 here, 3 I guess, that come out from the top. So this is the black part of her eye right here. Just color that in. Alright, so her cheek is going to come out this way in a minute, but for now we're going to work on this other eye. So her face is going to be on this kind of an angle, so we want this other eye to be down on an angle as well. What we're going to do for this is we're going to draw a line that comes, if you think about this point where it's come up, this will be where her eye is, right here, just a diagonal line in this direction, coming toward the beak in a bit of a curve, and then going up over her eye like this, and out. So it's going to fill in this whole section here that's going to come out towards her cheek. Just like that. So be careful with the shape here. You want it to be a bit of a teardrop shape pointing down in this corner. And then we're going to see her eyelid just coming up above like this. And her eyelashes again on this side. She's going to have a couple more that we can see on this side probably because we're on a better view from this angle. So now what we're going to do is draw in the black part of her eye, just like this, nice and strong, with a little bit of a shiny spot here, and color it in. And then we'll show the green part of her eye, just like this, and I'll make some little lines inside as well. Alright, so she also has, actually I'm going to make her beak a little higher. That's better. Does come up past her eyes just a little, maybe not that much. This is why we use pencil, so we can always refine our lines as we go. So when you're done here, I think you should have the top of her eyes just a little bit below the top of her beak. And then she also has a little nostril right here, and then we can draw the top of her head. So the way it comes here, it's going to come out from her eye, up, and then meet right here at her beak, just like that. And then she has a nice big full face that goes around like this on one side, and same thing on the other side. Nice curving full face on both sides. All right, so this is all going to be filled in darkly inside her mouth. And now we're going to draw her her beautiful head feathers, and the ones on top of her head are the highest. They're about this high, and then they start to get smaller as they go closer to the edge. So smaller and smaller and smaller. And they take a little longer to get smaller on this side because we can see more of her head on this side. And they just finish right here above her eye. And then we're going to see another line of feather coloring that comes a little bit above and down into her eye here. So this is also going to be a darker blue color, almost like eyeshadow. Alright, so now we're ready to keep going with the rest of her body. And I'm just going to shorten up these lines a little bit. Make this one a little curvier. Great. Alright, so here we have the bottom of her cheek, and we're just going to draw a belly that starts right here and just comes right around this line here. So that's her belly. And then from this side, we're going to draw her belly that's going to bump out more towards here and come in. So we're going to have a line that goes like this and under. And this will be where her little legs are attaching. So we would have some little lines here that are showing the tops of her little legs. And then we're going to have just a little hint here of her leg muscle as it's coming down from her body. Okay, let's go on to the wings now. And for this wing here, I'm going to draw an arch line that's just going to follow the shape of my hand here. And it's coming from behind her, and it's actually touching her cheek. So here I go, a big line up, and then the feather curves in back toward her body. And then another feather, same thing, and back in. And another feather, same thing, and back in. And now they're getting smaller. In fact, maybe that one's a tiny bit smaller still. Sure. And then we'll get smaller, coming out towards the side, and then pointing downward. So this one smaller, and this one smaller, and the last one smallest. So these are her main feathers, and then we have to draw the smaller feathers as well. I think these are maybe called flight feathers in a bird. Maybe you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. There are special names for different kinds of feathers on birds. So I'm just drawing the next row of feathers now that are inside these big feathers. And then there's another row, just some little U's upside down, coming all the way around. And maybe even just a few more in here. And we'll do the same thing for her other wing. We're going to start here, right at her cheek. The wing is coming up from her body, and then up and over like this, and then back in. Another feather, up and out, and back in. And again, they're going to get smaller now. Keep coming in, and they're going to start pointing downward and in. Every time, smaller and smaller. And there's the big row of feathers, and now we'll add the next row inside. So these ones are just right along the inside of her bigger feathers. And then I'll draw another row. U's coming all the way around. And one little bit here, just a final row. Alright, so there we have her face and her wings. And now we're ready to draw. I'm just going to put some more details here, but we're ready to draw her feet. So I'm just going to make her feathers have some... We did this for our other main characters, Blue and Jewel. When we were drawing in their feathers, we made sure that we sort of made them have some dimension. Just like that. When we drew Blue and Jewel, we made some little jig-jags in the feathers, but I think she's a nice young bird and she doesn't have any damage yet, so we're just going to leave that the way it is. And now, feet and tail feathers. So her tail feathers, let's do those next. They're just going to be maybe 4 of them that swoop out like this, and they keep coming back in, and they overlap each other a little bit on their way through like that. And then we'll just do a few smaller ones that come right from her body. So there's lots of extra lines there, and if you need to erase them before you do your marker lines, then this is a good time to do it. But I will be able to find mine when I'm going through. So now she's flying, she's up in the air, so her feet have to look like she is. So what's going to happen is her toes are going to curl back like this, and you'll see each toe curling back, and then they're going to meet up at the top of her body, and you'll see that her little toenails are there too. You might even see the back of that toe a little bit. And then the same thing for this one. We'll draw a big toe at the front, bump there, comes in, and then this is where the claw will be, and we'll see another toe coming from behind there, and maybe just a little bit of this back one. Okay, so that's it. If you want to draw earbuds in her ears, you could do that, but I'm going to be done there. I'm going to go over it now with my permanent marker. I'm going to use fine line and brush stroke or brush tip. I have a Faber-Castell brush tip marker, and I have a fine point, ultra fine point Sharpie. I'm going to use this ultra fine point Sharpie for some of my smaller lines and also around the eyes, so I don't make my details smudge together. Alright, I'll do this in time lapse, and we'll be back in a second to color her in. Okay, so I've got all of my final lines drawn, and I'm ready to erase. Alright, so we're all set to color her in, and I've chosen some blues for her feathers and some black and gray for her beak and her feet and green for her eyes. So I'll do this in time lapse, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, so that's it. I'm just about finished coloring in Carla. I'm doing her feet now with black and gray. I did the black underneath and the gray on top, and as you can see, I used different blues as I was shading. I started with my darkest blue, and then I put some lighter blue, and then I colored over with my medium blue, just to give lots of dimension to the colors. So I hope you enjoyed watching me draw Carla today, and I hope you drew her too. And if you're on Instagram, I would love it if you would post a picture of your drawing of Carla and tag me in it so that I can see it too. You can also find me on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram at DoodleDrawArt. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.